Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sustainability-Tea-Time Podcast, hosted by the University of Victoria Sustainability Project. We are a student-funded organization that promotes sustainable endeavors on and off campus. I'm your host for this episode, Ellie, and today I am joined by Sarah and Kate, and we're going to be discussing all things sustainable fashion.
I think one of my interests at the moment is kind of talking about capsule wardrobes. Like I've been trying really, really hard to see what patterns I kind of reach for in my closet. I'm really into white, so I usually grab a lot of white and when I'm getting ready in the day. So I've been trying to kind of understand what I think, what pieces would work for me, personally in a capsule wardrobe. So I've been trying to incorporate that in my routine, just kind of for the future me to kind of cut back on my clothing and understand this is what I reach for. I'm going to get one of those sustainably made so it'll last me a while and I'm not overbuying.
Yeah. Could you kind of go into what a capsule wardrobe is?
So capsule wardrobes are basically a couple, they can vary between any people, the amount, but usually it's kind of just a couple of shirts, sweaters, one coat, pair of shoes, couple jeans, couple of different pants. And you just basically can interchange them so they all match each other. So you can have shirt A matched with pant B with your pair of shoes, and then you do shirt D with pant E, and then they all just kind of match with each other. And it's really good because it saves, obviously, makes you not feel like you're buying everything all the time because you're just I need this, I'm going to wear it once. So it usually, and also it varies between you can make it super casual. You can have a white t-shirt and jeans, or you can throw in a blazer. So you have a work outfit and it's more dressier. So it's a really universal kind of wardrobe where everything matches and everything kind of goes with one another. And it's really interesting because it definitely makes you realize what you wear, and it doesn't make you overbuy, which kind of goes along with the whole fast fashion because a lot of it is made they're usually, the whole premise of it is to get really well made pieces, so they never kind of break and they last a long time.
Oh, that's so cool. That's smart too, because sometimes you're oh my goodness, look at this pair of purple striped pants. That's never happened to me. I don't know why I thought of that, but it's what could you actually wear with that? And some things you just buy and it's you'd have to buy more things. You don't have to, but sometimes people want to buy more things to fit with this if it's a very a unique piece and stuff. So having basics that are made well, that's a very, very smart idea, because then everything goes with everything basically.
Yeah
I've been I think I've read and watched countless YouTube videos about capsule wardrobes. Unfortunately, I'm too scared to start one myself. I don't know why. I feel with clothing, it's a lot of people's ways to express themselves, I guess. And I mean, Sarah, you probably know more about this, but I have a question. So how would you be able to self-express with a capsule wardrobe?
I mean, it's still you, because you get to choose what you get to put in your wardrobe, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a white t-shirt and light wash jeans. It can be an orange t-shirt and brown pants. It can be anything you want, and you can still express yourself through it because there's so many different combinations, and you get to choose every single day what you can wear, right? So it's not necessarily I don't necessarily think there's a correlation between those purple striped pants and expressing yourself, because you can express yourself through anything, and it's important to understand you can express yourself through anything in a sustainable way.
Of course, yeah.
I agree.
I don't know why I've never heard of that. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look into.
I think capsule wardrobe is really big right now with minimalism. The huge minimalism wave. Capsule wardrobe is just the clothing sector of minimalism.
Yeah, especially, I don't know if you guys watch Marie Kondo's thing on Netflix.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love her. It's so smart too. It's just get rid of this stuff that doesn't spark joy. That's such a simple thing, yet I don't do it because I have so many clothes in my closet that I've gotten or I held on to from when I was younger that I just like don't use anymore. It's like, okay, why am I keeping this? Like, I really got to go through an overhaul and just like use Marie's method.
This is so funny because every single sustainability podcast I have listened to about minimalism or sustainable fashion has referred to Marie Kondo.
Good. Like, she is the icon. She is the moment. I love
not escape from her.
Getting her time in the spotlight as she rightfully should.
As she should.
As she should.
Oh, this is so bad. Okay. Do you want to pivot over to the brands and some shade?
Yeah,
for sure.
Pop off.
We're gonna get a
Call
little
a tea room for something.
For the listener.
True, tea room for a reason.
So let's start off with some sustainable clothing brands. So over the summer, I just kind of been, educating. Okay, and I have this list of sustainable clothing brands. I'm just gonna like list them out for like listeners if they want to like, I don't know, take notes, support. So there's Urban Renewal. I think they're like pretty good with the price range. So there's that. They're a clothing brand. There's Nisolo. This one's like pretty popular. It's a shoes and jewelry brand. I think it's a little expensive though, so an investment. Mm-hmm. There's Prana, which I almost bought leggings from them, like workout leggings. They're basically a clothing and yoga wear brand. There's Girlfriend Collective, which is
Girlfriend Collective.
Yes, I was about to say, yeah.
They're pretty top tier. Like they're very sustainable, and their fabrics are really sustainable. I think they're recycled plastics. Yeah.
I also like how they're like super inclusive as well. It's not just like environmental.
Yeah, like they're
so inclusive. Of course, like all the models are like showing,
and that's why I think it's like so important to support sustainable companies, because like the people can like sit back and complain, being like, oh, all these sustainable companies like aren't inclusive and like they're not diverse within their sizing. But it's like, well, if you're only going to give them $20 of funding, like how could they do that, right? It's just like
exactly.
People can complain about anything they want, but they won't even support them to give them a chance, right? Absolutely. Like one of my, again, like I talked about Uncle Studios like prior to this, like she, like the owner, Allegra Shaw, she's like a really, really, really good blogger and YouTuber.
Oh yeah.
And she was like getting a lot of hate for like how, I think it was only like small to large was her sizing. And she got a lot of hate. And like the first thing she said was like, we don't have a lot of funding to like express ourselves. And like when we do have funding, like we want to get it right. Like we want to include everyone properly, right? So she just like explained like how it's really hard for like small businesses to kind of step out and include a lot of people when they don't have the funding to even like express that in the beginning.
Yeah, and then that creates like a vicious cycle. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy from them, so they're not going to get money. Right. So then they can't expand that, and then they eventually have to go into business because no one's buying from them. So it's like this whole thing. So support sustainable brands is basically what we're going for.
And Girlfriend Collective is also extremely transparent with their supply chain and their workers' rights. I think their website has like a list of how much they're paying workers in every factory.
No way. That's
I'm not completely sure, but they are really transparent on the website.
Oh, wow.
Organic Basics is another really good activewear brand. They're just not as size inclusive. But they're still really sustainable with their fabrics and production. There's also Rothy's, ROTHY, and then hyphen. Is that what it's called? No, not hyphen. The little quote thing, S.
Apostrophe.
They're recycled shoes and bags. And then there's Booty Wear. So it's like BOODY wear, which is undergarments and activewear. And then lastly, Patagonia.
Oh yeah,
of course, a classic.
The queen of all sustainable brands.
The queen of Vancouver, basically.
Yes, support local.
But it was really nice. It was really nice to finish this podcast of giving people information of like what they can do.
For sure, because we can talk as much as we want, bashing companies and stuff. But if you don't give anyone another option, like people are just gonna, say like, what can I do? Okay, like I'll just go back to buying fast fashion or whatever. So giving people like, hey, these are some ideas is always great.
I also have some tips on how to spot fast fashion. So first, to look at the stitching. That's pretty obvious. If it's bad stitching, it's probably fast fashion. Hold it up to a bright light to check to see if it's see-through or not. Make sure zippers are marked with the YKK letters. And this is probably for more expensive clothes, but some expensive clothes would have spare buttons or thread attached to it for like when it breaks and you can like repair it. Yeah.
Nice.
Do you like, want to do a thing on the major fast fashion brands?
Oh, sure.
A few of them. I have a list. And then I have some reasons why they're considered fast fashion. For listeners that want to be more aware of which brands they are. In short, it's Aritzia is a really big one, just because they have a lot of trends rolling out. H&M, Uniqlo, I think, has like reports of labor right violations in China. Topshop,
Joe Fresh.
Oh yeah,
Canceled.
Obviously, lots of the big online ones like Boohoo and Fashion Nova, and like
Pretty Little Thing.
Exactly. There's so many, and they're all exactly the same. It's just not heartbreak. It's just like, I don't know. I don't like looking at them. It's like, how can that pair of pants be $8? Like, that's not how it works.
I know. Oh my god. It's like, I hate when I'm like, oh, that shirt's like so cute. Like, where'd you get it? And they're like, and I'm like, no, like, no, girl, why are you supporting them?
There's also the most heartbreaking one, in my opinion, and that's Victoria's Secret.
I didn't know
I get like all my stuff, but like they have so many like issues, like child labor, allegations of phobia. Obviously, everything is synthetic, right?
It's I was doing a little bit of research, and I was like, Victoria's Secret, like some things you don't think of, but it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So.
Yeah, and who would have thought that Urban Outfitters is fast fashion?
Yes, basically, really, like almost like every kind of store that everyone knows of is fast fashion, because like it's hard to be slow fashion. It's hard to be slow fashion nowadays, because if you are slow, you're gonna get like, people are going to go to Zara because they're very fast and cheap and like blah, 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 blah. So it's tough to be a sustainable fashion company with all these huge multi-billion dollar probably companies that are just producing at such a huge rate. So
amazing. So I thought we should tie it off with basically saying how, all this information that we just blurred to everybody listening is not to make you feel guilty or ashamed of everything you've done. Like, for example, me looking back at my habits when I was in high school, I obviously cringe at that. But at the end of the day, it's just to inform each other and to like learn, be more aware and conscious the next time you want to buy a new item. Just assess the hidden cost, to assess if you really need it, to assess if you're actually gonna wear it, and just to kind of curve away from impulse purchases.
Of course. And also, not everyone's perfect. You can always do something, like even if it's a little thing, just to improve the way you buy clothes and make it slightly more sustainable. Even if it's just like little changes, those still add up over time.
Exactly. Okay, so that wraps up the first UVSP podcast episode. I hope everybody enjoyed listening.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Sustainability-Tea-Time Podcast, hosted by the University of Victoria Sustainability Project. This podcast was edited by Emma Jane Beering, and the